The first December date for this Commander's crew.
Does this team get back on track?
Yes, they do.
Go Titans.
We got a Titans fan over there.
A tussle with the Titans.
What do you think about the game today?
Oh, well, I'm excited about it. We need the win, and if we don't, it's not going to be pretty.
After losing 3 straight, the Commanders take care of business.
I mean, I didn't want to go in the bye week with an L. I'd have been 4 straight, so but obviously he's always like winning always makes everything better.
Dominant in all phases and a well-balanced win.
Bobby Wagner talked about just getting back to having fun. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I just think energy is contagious, and good energy, obviously, that's what we want.
A week off awaits, and after this win, it should be a goodbye.
Get away and be around people that have been knowing me all my life.
Let's talk about it on this Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. You know, in the prior weeks, we've been talking about we do not know exactly what the Commanders are. Are they this? Are they that? One thing we do know that they have a very good record right now, and they have opportunity. But today, what we have to do is we got to take a look at the contenders and pretenders. And don't think there's not a lot out there. Let's name a few. We didn't mess around and let Philadelphia become a contender again. We didn't mess around and let the Raiders become liars because they are really pretenders. We also looking down the hill. If it wasn't for Kansas City having Superman on their team, they would be at the bottom of the hoop. The 49ers just to give it up. So you know what I'm saying, fans? It's a lot of places out there for this team to make it in. But right now, they got to be one of the teams that have to make it in. So what do? Me and my crew saying, okay, we're going to get bad with this. Put the kids to bed because it could be ugly. Let's get this thing going right now. We got the G-Man. I had to say him first. He came in out from New York. You was in New York, right? They said it was so cold up there, they had you to come up and melt the snow, right? Is that what was happening, G? And then we got Eddie.
I was cleaning your cars, Mr. McGee.
Then we got Edward Mason here. Not only does he training people when they play, he's still training people, still doing a good job, and he can see everything they're doing wrong out there. And so I had to go back and bring the treetop lover out there because this guy's getting bigger. Are you on Solomon's show this year? Okay, bringing in my son, Big Zoe. I know you got a lot to say about that. But I tell you what, we're a lot further than we were before. And last but not least, Hop, I left you last because I know you've been in the locker room. What is your general feeling? Now, you've been around this team prior years when when the playoffs were possible and when they were not. What do you feel now with this team? Where do they have to go? And other teams out there, it's going to be some new teams in this whole thing. So let's get it rolling. What's up, Hop?
Hey, Tony, you know what? A great win for this Commander, a needed win. And Coach Quinn talked about in his presser that the needle was almost empty for this team because, they're just getting their bye week, next week and 14 weeks straight. And this is a needed win for them going into the bye week after losing 3 straight games, Tony. But you got to love what you've seen for this Commanders team because we said that the key thing for this Commanders team would be to run the ball. And offense, Tony, 467 total yards of offense. But guess what? 267 yards on the ground. They had 109 yards in the first quarter. So their offense was flowing with the pass, balanced offense, with the run. And Jaden, as Coach Quinn said, was electric because the way he ran, what he did, I mean, they took it to the Titans right off the bat, Tony, but it's the running game that you like, that bread and butter, that ground game. And then to see Brian Robinson, a 40-yard bust up the gut with some speed to get the touchdown for the Commanders. But Tony, let's go right to the locker room before you take it around to everybody to hear what a happy locker room sounds like.
I'm glad we was able to really just, put it back out there and just show them, the potential we have in our room and our running game is serious. If we really do it the right way and stay on people's necks for real, we have a serious run game and we just got to believe it.
For 3 straight, we had to get it back together. So coach all week just preached that let's play by play, down by down. Let's go out there and show everybody who we are. Man, shout out to 8. He keeps motivating me. Obviously I battled adversity throughout the week, but they did a great job of keeping my head up and making sure I know who I am.
Everybody played a big part in this win today.
Oh yeah, it did. We needed it. And I feel like both sides of the ball, even special teams, knew that we needed it. And I felt like coach did a great job of putting us in the right position.
Our backs did a great job of reading the double team blocks and everything like that. So, it was great. We owned the line of scrimmage for sure. Like, the little details even matter even more. So whether it's hanging on a double team block for another half a second and getting to your linebacker, those little things add up down the road. So just making sure we were detailed as much as possible.
Bobby Wagner talked about this team getting back, having fun. Could you talk a little bit about that and just how this team played with special teams, offense, and defense?
Yeah, that comes with complementary football and working off one another in all 3 phases of the game. But also, he's right, damn right. And, whether, you may not get, an ultimate touchdown on a drive, but, there's always pros to a lot of different stuff, whether, you're flipping the field or you're scoring a touchdown. Obviously, you want touchdowns always, right? But whether it be a field goal, flipping the field, making sure we're doing our job the best we can, and sometimes the ball doesn't go the way we go, but at the same time making sure we're executing at the highest level we can execute at.
Hey Brenda, talk about just this team, how fulfilling it is to just get back on the winning track, and what you all were able to set the tone in the beginning.
Yeah, games like these are really fun. The whole week our kind of focus was just getting back to how we played in the beginning, and now it just comes with how we played together. All 3 phases, being excited for each other out there. Every time any phase made a play, the whole team was excited, was hyped up. So that stuff's always fun, and just being able to go out there and play at a high level the whole game, being physical, being fast is great.
And just being able to run the ball with Brian Robinson back there pounding it, how fulfilling was that to just see? I guess that's an offensive lineman's dream to see that running game be what it was today.
Yeah, him, and then shout out to the other 2, man.
Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah, the whole
and
group.
McNichols.
That's right. The whole group just running downhill, and that's what you like from your running back. You kind of create a lane that they be able to carry out 20, 30-yard runs out of that. It's something that you just dream for as an O-line. Definitely helps us out a lot in our job.
We just wanted it. We took. We had the 3 losses in a row. We had to look ourselves in the mirror and figure out what we had to do, and we figured it out. We got the ball out of Jaden hands quick a little bit earlier, handed the ball off. I think Cliff did a good job calling the plays, and with us just going out there and executing each play, we got to go and rolling.
Hey, Tony, and I must say that the offensive line, to me, was their best game by far. Cornelius Lucas, great game, and Brandon Coleman, a solid game for them. You're talking about a Titans team that was top 5 in defense in stopping the run, and this Commanders offensive line just bullied their defensive line.
I don't want to always digress and go backwards, but I would have to on this. We have Eddie there as well as we have G there. And all of us know one thing. What Mr. Coleman said right there in the beginning of his statements was very, very important. He said when the other team was out there and our team was doing something, we were cheering for them. Too many times in this bench area, I've seen guys sitting back, drinking Gatorade, not paying attention to the game. You got to be able to pay attention to the game, whether you own the field or not. Now, Eddie, you played linebacker in this league for a long time. When you see an offensive line that's trying to find their identity, as they did in this game, and you see how they're running the ball, you know that you're going to be in for a long day that day.
1,000%. I think the reality is that everything starts up front. We all know this on O-line and D-line. We talked about this many times, Tony. And I think yesterday, going into, we call that playoff mode, leading into December, because everything happens. You know, if you really want to make that run right now, you're establishing a true identity on who you are. You know, I think the Commanders really needed that win yesterday, but most importantly, they needed a win up front, and that's exactly what they did yesterday. I think, you know, Cosme sets the temperature for that O-line, but I think that young man, Ben Coleman, that kid's going to be really, really good left tackle for us for a long time. So I agree with you 1,000%. They definitely established the front against a very, very great defensive line in the Tennessee Titans.
But, you know, it changed up a little bit, and it was a subtle change, but at the same time, you take the opportunity to look at it, it was a major change. They start going to McCollum early. They let them individuals know, okay, it's not going to be this way. And they also went to the running game early. Look on both sides. McCollum made a big play, so that made him a threat throughout the rest of the game. And then it's the first thing you look back, when Brian, the last game that he played, the first play he got hurt. This game, he make a big play. It seems as though that picked up the whole team, the coaching staff, and everyone. And, they was ready to go then. And I think he had to have that. Using McCollum early, I think that is something. And do you not agree when you guys were the posse out there, then you want the other team to say, oh, they want to look at you and see what you're doing because they are afraid of you. So you make your presence felt. And by them doing him early, I think it really helped the offense.
Yeah, I mean, as a receiver, you always want to get involved in the game as soon as possible, and you want to make a statement as soon as possible. And the best thing that Terry was doing, he was making multiple statements throughout the course of that game, catching the ball, blocking the ball, and decoying as well. So, I mean, he had a spectacular game, and that's one guy that you can always count on to come out and play 100% of the time. So it was nice to see that, you know, the offense was putting up numbers like they put up before, and the defense maintained playing good defense as they have for the last few games, quite honestly.
Hey, Gary, Tony, but before you jump in, go, I want to ask Gary one question, because on Sunday, they did something different with Terry. They moved him around offensively. They moved him in the slot. They moved him outside. Talk about just the usage of him, because normally he's not moved around that much, and he was more effective being moved around like they did.
Yeah, well, it looked like they was trying to find a way to get him loose. A lot of times, you know, if you're playing the X receiver and you're on the line of scrimmage, I mean, it's a unique position to play because, you know, you can't get off the line of scrimmage, you can't go in motion, you can't do anything. You have to beat the man immediately. So giving Terry opportunity to be off the ball and be able to go in motion and move around, you know, it gives you that much more distance between that person and the defensive back. The further away from the defensive back you are, the easier it is for the receiver to get loose.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I'm going to ask the guy that I thought could have probably been one of the best tight ends ever in the NFL. His last name McGee. I'd have seen this guy run 10 hundreds in a roll at 11 flat. And speaking of that, that's how tight ends are really important. It seems as though the tight ends are coming in just right with this offense where they are needed and helping to open up the running game as well as the passing game, Big Zo.
Everything looked good. Ertz was out there balling. The new rookie, Stennett, the rookie we got, was looking good. They were blocking actually good. That's the whole thing is as great as they were catching the ball, they were also knocking people off that line too and blocking well. And that's what really it reminded me of the Hogs back in the day when they had the Hogs and then they had Rick Doc Walker blocking on that other side, or Don Warren. They were knocking people off. So I've been very impressed with the tight end play. Definitely, yes.
Well, it's funny you said that. You were talking about they had the Hogs out there, like they were really blocking, and then they had Rick. you need to explain that, Rick.
Come on.
He wrong.
I know he gonna get mad. Hey, Rick, you heard me say it. But I tell you what, we talk about one facet of the team. But the one thing about it is we're talking the overall team today. We're not trying to overcompliment them as well as we're not trying to put them down. Because right now it's a great opportunity, but it's so packed in there that now we need to go to the second phase. After talking about the offense, we have to take a look at the defense. The defense has been playing better and better each week. The one thing I see about this new defense, and when we come back, we'll talk about it, is they play their position rather than trying to be superstar. That's the defensive line and everything. I think that's a big difference. But we have to be realistic ourselves. Bobby Wagner is the best thing we have back in the middle, and our defensive backs got to become more consistent. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about this defense. But at the same time, we have to wonder, are they a good caliber? That's what's happened with the Ravens. Everybody thought they had a great defense, and they didn't have nothing but a bunch of pretenders out there. We'll be right back. Get your potato chips, get your pop, because it's going to get a little bit hotter in here. We'll be back in a moment.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50-some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.
Frosted Flakes good? They're great. Great.
They're still great, Grandpa.
See? Told ya. They're great.
As we have preached the whole year and many years prior to this one, all facets of the team are important. We always say offensive defense is number 1 and 2, and you have to do that, but at the same time, other factors are important. But let's jump at this defense right now. You come into a season where you got rid of number 1 draft choices, you're giving up big yardage, you're not looking like you're even getting across the line of scrimmage, but some kind of way they're holding and they're bidding and not breaking. But is this going to be good enough to get into the playoffs? Because what you have to realize right now, their group, the East, they already have three teams that's a possibility to be in the playoffs. There's only one not. So right now they don't have error, but they're going to be wild card if they do not take care of Philly. So let's take a took, and they've seen a big change in this defense. And I'm gonna go right to you right away, Donna. What change, and then speaking with them, have you seen? Did they attend what they're supposed to do more, or do they have more talent than we thought?
I think, Tony, that the defense has surpassed what we thought they were going to be, because I think that they're picking up the pace and that they have played good over the weeks. We talked about the secondary. One player that has really stood out as far as quarterback is Michael Sambersteel. He forced the fumble and then got the fumble, and he's really played well. They moved him from the inside, which is his true position, to the outside, and he has not missed a beat. Really played well. They're playing on the other end with St. Juice and also Michael Evans. So they're kind of like switching them in and out, and that's the one that they're still trying to get right as far as Benjamin St. Juice and Michael Evans. But then you start in the middle. Frankie Louvu has been a wrecking ball. I'm sure that we're going to talk more about him and Bobby Wagner. Greg, congratulations to him, because he gets 1,000 tackles for the 13th time of his career. But Tony, I think the defense is playing well. The only area that, to me, that they haven't played well is stopping the run, but they were able to do that on Sunday. But before you go around, let everybody dissect the defense. And I'm giving them credit, Tony, and you know how I get on the defense heavily, but I think they're playing well.
Somebody must be paying you off, because we know you ain't doing it on your own.
All I know is I'm giving the defense credit, and I think that they're a lot better than what you're giving them credit, because I've seen some great play, like I say, from Frankie Louvu. And when you watch him on that field and the aggressive play, he's scary. I wouldn't want him coming towards me, because he's trying to take your head off. But let's go to the locker room to hear what the defensive side of the ball had to say.
We need to get a win. We understand where we were at. We let 3 games slip away. No one wants to go into the bye week losing, and so this was a good one to get a win. We can still build on some stuff, and we take some time to
to reassess where we at and make the necessary changes. I think we just need to have fun. You know, I think as the expectations started to grow, you know, we needed to get back to just having fun. This game, that's why we were playing so well. We were just having fun. We wasn't worried about what the outside was saying. So, you know, there's going to be games where the outside appreciates us. There's going to be games where the outside think we're not playing that well. And as long as we focus on the people that's in here and, you know, just having fun, everything take care of us.
Talk about just this team as how they responded today, coming back and finally getting back in the winning track. What you saw from the offense, defense, and even special teams, because everybody played a part today.
Yeah, you can see, you know, it started from Bobby saying that on a Wednesday meeting, you know what I mean? You know, and a lot of that's shown today on the field. So guys are just bought in and, you know, just wanting to win. I feel like, you know, guys went out there and had the plan and brought the plan to life. So, you know, we just got to keep doing that. We're going to take this break and get our bodies right, our minds right, and have everybody healthy for this last stretch. And, you know, this is going to be big for us.
Bobby talked about getting back to just having fun out there. How much fun was it out there being able to get back doing what you all know that you were capable of doing?
Man, it was really fun. We just keep the energy up. We talked about it, you know, after, you know, those back-to-back losses. We talked about our energy. So, I mean, every series, anybody making a play, we celebrating with them and whatnot. So, you know, Mikey getting the strips, fumble on that one, you know, celebrate that, man. Those are all big things, and it kind of leads on to our offense and have them come on the field and you know, score right away.
Just talk about just the plays. You had created the turnover, and then you got the turnover.
Yeah, just, you know, we talk about finding different ways to create turnovers, whether, you know, it's interceptions or second man in on tackles. So just something we work at, you know, second man in, take a shot at the ball while, you know, the other guys have them wrapped up. Fortunately, I was able to rip it out and, you know, be the first one to recover it.
Bobby talked about this team getting back to just having fun. Just talk about just this team and what you were able to do overall as a team.
Yeah, you know, like you just said, Bobby's saying just getting back to, you know, the things that we were doing. You know, football is a fun game. Football is a game that, for the most of us, we've been playing it since little kids. And, you know, as a little kid, you don't think about anything other than having fun when you're out there on the field. So just being able to do it with a special group like this one, go out there, just, you know, play fast and enjoy what we're doing and enjoying it together. You know, that's one of the biggest things about it. To be able to, you know, just get corrections, it's fun correcting wins, in my opinion. So just being able to get this win going into the bye week and then come back off, you know, on a high note. But the challenge for us is how can we stay sharp? How can we stay disciplined throughout the bye? How can we make sure we're coming back in a better state? And, you know, just we have a long stretch on the way.
I tell you what, and you think about that, and Ed, I'm going to ask you this right now, because it's one thing you have to do and see. You were like a captain out there, and you knew what you were looking at. What did this defense have to improve on before they get to the playoffs, if they were to get there? What do you see they have to improve on? Then, Ed, tell me what you think their strengths are right now. We do know one thing right now. We were just listening to the best player they have on defense. What do you think, Edward?
1,000%, Tony. There's a lot to be said about this team collectively, but we're talking about defense right now. I got some notes here. When I watched that clip, the one thing that I'm seeing from these guys, number one, they humble. They blue-collar players. They're very mature guys. They love each other. They got great coaching. What Coach Witt has done with this defense in terms of identity, playing aggressive, downhill football, getting after it. You can tell these guys are all the way bought in. The things that they're great at right now, statistically, they're ranked 16th in the NFL right now, defensively, total defense. They're ranked 4th in passing defense. I know we talk about that back end a lot, but they're ranked 4th right now in passing D. Rushing D now, however, they're ranked 29th in the league. 29th. So when we talk about what are the things they got to shore up, we got to learn how to stop the run, because we know at some point, if we are fortunate enough to get, like we said, get that wild card game or even potentially get that bye to get into the playoffs, we got some big boy teams in the NFC. You got Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles who are about that life up front. They are literally about trying to take your head off and establish a run from a culture perspective. And so I think it's one of those things where, you know, if they're going to make a run, which I believe they can, based on the type of culture that they've created, not just on defense, but collectively as a team, I think they're going to have to show up the run. But I think a lot of that's going to come when we get Marshawn Lattimore, because that's going to help us put an extra guy in the box, because we'll be able to man outside and do some things with our corners, especially with number 0. You get Marshawn Lattimore, we get him. I think we can do some things. I think Witt's going to be able to open up that defensive package. So I'm excited.
Well, look here, G. What do you see as a veteran wide receiver that should be in the Hall of Fame any moment? How do you see these young defensive backs, and what's the biggest flaws you see on them? Are they taking the first? Are they taking the first fake? Are they not following their assignments? What do you see that they got to really hone in on? Because as you know, the closer you get to the playoffs, Super Bowl, and stuff like that, there's no time for trying to make excuses or changes. So what do they need to work on as defensive backs right now, where if you were on another team, how would you use it against them? So maybe we say something today that may help them on down the road.
Well, I think the biggest thing as a defensive back, especially when you're playing any type of man-to-man, you have to be able to be a good press technique. So if I'm anything, they need to work on making sure that their press technique is great, and also have to work on making sure that they're able to cheat in the right way by holding that receiver one way or the other without the referee seeing them holding that receiver. Maybe it's sitting there when you're running in line to grab your wrist and throws you off. Little things like that a referee, it's hard for them to pick up. A lot of times they don't see it, or just, grabbing your hip for a second and throws you off a little bit. Those are things that typically a referee does not see, and they definitely don't call because they don't see it. So the small things like that, in typically just working on your craft, working to perfect how you play your game. And if you can perfect the way you play your game, then you'll have the type of results that you want to have and you need, and you can learn moving forward. So this year and the rest of them, and going into next year, all of a sudden now you start perfecting your craft. The key is repetition, 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 practice, practice, practice. Just don't go through the motions in practice. Actually practice when you're in practice.
Hello, and Donna, now Bobby Wagner has come and made a difference. Is he the major difference on this team defensively and maybe offensively this year?
Well, Tony,
his spirit, the way he played.
Yeah, he's a coach of the field. Coach Witt talked about that earlier during the season. He relies on him to make even calls. He said he doesn't have to wait on him because of that experience. So Bobby Wagner, being the leader that he is, and knowing that this team had took a skid with losing 3 games, he had a meeting last week with the team to pull them together. And you all Gary, you, Eddie, all know about that. When you struggling as a team, then the leaders step up, and that's what Bobby Wagner did. But Tony, for you, defensive line, talk a little bit about what you're seeing there, because let's go back to Frankie Louvu a little bit. Him and Dante Fowler, they both have posted 8+ sacks this season so far. So you gotta love what you're seeing in this late part of the season from what you're seeing from the defensive line and Johnny Newton also. So talk, Tony, about that. You were on the line yourself.
Well, you have to take a look at it and what you see in some finishers here. And they're doing it through doing this, following their assignment. That's what's so good. Yeah, you got 2 players follow, and then, like I said, there's no doubt who the best player on this team is. But the one thing they consistently get to the quarterback. What's important about that is they've taken both of those young players and turned them into number 11 on Dallas's team, who is an all-pro for the reason they let him roam, let him get around. What I like about them, they are smaller players, but they get the job done. I think what it is these players are getting it done. And let's don't leave out the one big man left, because Darren been playing pretty doggone well. And I tell you what, you have to just look at the whole thing. But the one thing I do have that one problem with down is you can't be ran on as much as they've been run on. And that's really going to be important. As you know, as the weather gets cold and the teams get better, the running games become very prevalent. And if they do not concern themselves with that, they will have a problem, because everybody will make a short game for them and they'll be running on them over and over. So, it's very important. And when you look at each facet of the team, everybody has to work together to make it work. When we come back, we're looking at, we always talk special teams. Oh, nothing's different. Return men average 22 yards a return. When you get in that kind of stuff, it gives you hope. And when we come back, Donna, I'll jump on you first. Do we have hope? Or we just wish it? We're doing the moment.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50 some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love. Frosted Flakes good? They're great. Great.
You're still great, Grandpa.
See? Told ya.
They're great.
Well, don't we look educated here? We're all talking so civil and really doing good. Hello, Donna. How are you? Donna, can you tell me about the special teams? Well, I think I'll ask Solomon first. Somebody that knows something about other than, she don't know basketball either, does she? So talk to me about these special teams.
Don't get Solomon started because Solomon already know 2 basketball players up here, Tony. So don't go there.
Okay.
But
Wait a minute. I got to clean up one mistake. Gary wanted to hit me in my mouth. Okay, what did I say wrong, Gary?
Well, I don't think you say anything wrong because you're the boss of the show. So I don't ever tell the boss that he's doing anything wrong. I mean, I just, Terry, maybe that's Terry's middle name. That's all, maybe it's his middle name. McLaurin's his last name, or maybe you was calling him by his middle name. And I'm okay with calling him by his middle name.
I had a flashback.
Well, that's his nickname you gave him. You gave him his nickname. That's all.
Is that what his nickname will be now?
No more scary Terry.
Tony, I'm gonna tell Terry that he had a great game, and I said the big boss calling you out of your name because he think you the basketball player. What's up?
Oh, well, you ain't seen I did. I told you they called me the Long Ranger, and ain't because I was a horse either. Let's get this going. Let's talk about it. Special teams, Big Zo.
Whoa.
The biggest thing I felt that happened this week is actually they got to see that Siebert was really hurt. Like I was talking to Donna about a groin or a hip flexor on a kicker, it kind of hurts you. So the fact, now I know Gonzalez missed a couple of kicks, but the fact he made more than I think Siebert would have made this week with that injury. Then like Pop said, I like the fact that we are a threat now. I remember the days where we had just a guy, which y'all remember the names, all he would do was everything would be a fair catch. Where I know the new kicking system now, but I feel like us averaging 22, or they know that we're going to have somebody back there to bring the noise. We're a threat with that. So I've really been impressed with special teams. And like me and Donna were discussing, we actually went out and got special team players that's making Pro Bowls for other teams. Not just a guy that you want to make the team, so this is what you got to do. We had guys that actually study positions, study the gunner position, and actually brought them aboard. And we treated special teams serious, like we had to treat all the different levels on the team. So I feel good about the special teams thus far.
Donna, they feel pretty good about themselves too, don't they?
Oh, definitely, Tony. And I want to throw this out because we're going to go around to see the final 4 games for the Commanders. They got a bye week coming up, a needed bye week. But let me throw out some numbers to you to go back to Jayden Daniels. Daniels, the second quarterback since RG3 as in the NFL history to throw for at least 2,500 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, have a passer rating of 97, and to have rushed for over 500 yards. That's Jayden Daniels. That's how special he is, Tony. And then back to this game, 29 first downs on Sunday. But Tony, as they get ready to go for the home stretch, ain't no letting up right now because Dallas is right on the heels of the Commanders, 2 games behind since the Commanders have these hiccups. But I'm coming to you, Tony, on Sunday, December the 15th. They go play the Saints in New Orleans. No team is an easy team. So how do you see that game playing out, Tony? And what's the key thing, even with the Saints struggling right now?
It's going to be the quarterback play. And we anticipate that Daniels will be the better one, but at the same time, when you have a young player, you always have an opportunity of things happening. New Orleans have been an enigma for the simple reason that one week they look unbeatable, the next week they don't. They don't want to play this quarterback get hurt. So they are always a dangerous team. They have plenty of people in the running back position as well as the defensive line and a couple of good offensive linemen. So you do know that they have the potential to be a good team. What we have to do is keep our foot on their neck. That dog won't hunt, and we keep them down until our game is over. Then let them go. If we do that, we got them. If we don't, we're going to have a dog fight.
Hey, Eddie, I'm coming to you because the next game is going to be a tough one. They can pay this team back because they actually could have won if they had that bye week probably early before they played the Eagles up there. They played the Eagles on Sunday the 22nd at home. The Eagles is taking it to everybody right now. Great ball, beat up on the Ravens, didn't even took their hearts away. But how do you see the Commanders facing a team like the Eagles the second time around, which they need that win also?
It's going to come down to run defense. I mean, Saquon Barkley's playing at an MVP level. I mean, the offensive line is nasty. The defensive line is nasty. And I think, like I said, the two teams in the NFC right now that are what we call old school blue collar defense, old school blue collar offense, are the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. And they happen to be in our division. And we're going to have to match their intensity. I think for the first 3 quarters of that last game, I thought we played them tough. And then we just kind of, Saquon hit a run here. We were kind of bottling him up in the early parts of the game. And then he started breaking things away. And I think that was because we kept going 3 and outs. Their defense was forcing time of possession. You know what I mean? It was playing to their favor. So I think this next time around, we got to sustain drives. If they're gonna beat the Eagles, they got to establish a run with B-Rob. We have to be able to be efficient, no turnovers, and establish a line of scrimmage. And if we play good defense and we can establish time of possession and establish drives, I think we can beat the Eagles.
And they still have another chance, won't they, Donna? If they happen to beat the Eagles and then somebody else beat them, will they not still have a chance maybe for the division?
Yeah, if the Commanders can run the tables and win all their remaining 4 games and the Eagles have a hiccup here and there, the Commanders could take it. So we'll go around the NFC East to look at who they have on their schedules to see who got the tougher schedule. But the next game up, Solomon, I'm coming to you. Atlanta Falcons on December the 29th at home. Kirk Cousins had his worst game, 4 interceptions in that Sunday game. How do you see that playing out? Because, again, I said that you can't take no team for granted. And in this home stretch, everybody wants to upset somebody, and the Falcons are still in the race.
Well, the biggest thing is, like I heard y'all say before, and the biggest thing with the Titans was we had energy during the beginning of the game, during the warm-ups. The stadium was rocking. It seems like they were into this game. With a Cowboy game, I just felt like it was quiet that day. Everybody was melancholy. They weren't walking. It wasn't, the energy wasn't there. So we keep that same kind of energy as far as the players and the stadium. I think we'll be good against the Falcons. And the fact that they did just have a major loss, I feel like that's actually chipping away at them. And I'm going to be honest, I personally feel like we owe Kirk Cousins. We owe Mr. You Like That. So I want him back here anyway, because I feel like he was part of that last era that we want to get rid of. So I want to go on and finish him off. So definitely I feel good about us getting him if we had the same energy we had coming into the Titans game.
Hey, Gary.
Was it true he lost his rabbit foot in the shower, Donna? Is that what happened to Kirk?
Hey, Tony, he lost something with those 4 interceptions on Sunday. But to finish the schedule out, they play Dallas again in Dallas on January the 5th, Gary. Now, the Commanders, that's going to be a game that they haven't even scheduled yet because, they save all the divisional games because it could be playoff implications. So Dallas, you know what, is still in the race a little bit because they're just 2 games right now behind the Commanders. But Dallas is not a good team still. How do you see this game playing out in Dallas when it might mean something even more so this second time around? Dallas, Gary, the team that nobody likes.
No, the funny thing about it is every game is the most important game, quite honestly. They need to win out. They just do to have opportunity to win the division. They have to win out. Like you said, a loss here by Philadelphia. I mean, anybody can trip up every now and then, like Kansas City tripped up. Every now and then it does happen. Our 91 season, we tripped up. It happens from time to time. So all they need is for the Eagles to trip up. But I mean, you have to at least split with Dallas. It's just kind of what it is. You can't, even when we play, worst case scenario, we had to split with Dallas. And Dallas beat us when I played, when they was at their worst. They won one game that year, they beat us. So Dallas, Washington, it always typically doesn't matter how good either team is. It's always typically a good match. So but they have to win out at the end of the day. I mean, Dallas is an important win because it's Dallas, but also they have to win because we want to come into the playoffs. I don't want to be a wild card. I want to be, I want to win my division.
Right.
And Tony, you asked the remaining games. Here's Philadelphia. They play the Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Dallas, and the Giants. So they have the tough one in there. Probably is the Steelers and the Commanders. And then Dallas has to play the Bengals, the Panthers, Bucks, Eagles, Commanders. So it's going to come down to those final games. And again, the Commanders bye next week. Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys. All of those games are winnable. What do you all think? We got a minute to go.
Honestly, just because they're winnable don't mean they got to go out after those games just as they are when their necks are on the line. Each and at Jackson, any of them, they got to play each and every game separately and each and every game to the max.
Hey, Eddie, what do you think? You were going to jump in.
I agree 1,000%. We got to win out. Gary said it best. I mean, if we are serious, and think about this, nobody expected this from this team this year. However, we are where we are right now. We're 8-5, and we got a serious opportunity to do something special in year one of this rebuild. And so I really believe if, based on how they came out on Sunday, if they can keep that momentum and continue to build, we get Marshawn Lattimore. We get two pretty much a lockdown corner, and now we can start changing up our defensive fronts a little bit and start blitzing a little more, creating pressure. To Solomon's point, getting more sack total go up, and we start creating more turnovers. We never know what might happen. I mean, you never know. And when you got number 5 at the helm, that kid's special. That kid's extremely special.
Yeah, Tony, and Lattimore might be back after the bye week.
Yeah. And it comes down, and we got to take a quick break. But on all teams at this point, it comes down to injuries, who's available, and not being available is just it. Who can play well in this time? That's why each and every game, when it comes down and you're trying to make the playoffs, you make the playoffs, and then you're trying to win the Super Bowl. It's not about a whole conglomerate of games. It's not about 2 or 3 games. It's about every play. Because you don't leave no play unturned on there, because every play it takes you to make a play if you're going to the Super Bowl. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about around the league. We'll talk about what we're looking to do. But we also got to talk about our little Super Bowl here because, the picks have been going big on both sides of the ball. I ain't talking offense and defense. Be back in a moment.
Frosted Flakes good? They're great. Great.
They're still great, Grandpa.
See? Told ya.
They're great.
People don't know the real story of what happened.
It was an unbelievable series of events and an unbelievable time.
Their championship was taken away from them in 1969. We are living in their championship now.
50 some years later, good is coming from it. They are impacting state after state after state after state.
And we're going to show the world how to love.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com, Speakers Bureau.
Look at that. We have Gary Clark going on. Every time we send him out on a speaking engagement, we have to have crowd control, call the security from the White House and everybody just to make sure he's okay. But we got other players too. So if you want us to speak, just take a look at our website, set it up, and we do it for both of us for the show and then for another organization I work with. But speaking of organizations and speaking and looking at everything going around, we have some organizations that love to cook, love to have a good time, and love to have good fans. So what do? We have a challenge, not just for restaurants. That's for anybody that think they're espionados pertaining to the football knowledge. Donna, I hear some tight races right now. So I'm asking you, and you don't have to answer this. Maybe we can set it up for next week. But can we get some of these owners on the show or managers or fans so they can tell us what they think and they can tell us what their favorite meal is? Can we do that throughout the rest of the year? So can you check that out for me and see if we can do that?
Well, Tony, you know what? I'm already taking care of that because guess what?
Oh, you ain't. It's just like your free throws. You missed them before you got up there.
This sports challenge is heating up. And let me tell you, they want to come on and talk about this because I thought our picks was tough. Theirs is even tougher. But let's go find out, Tony, who's in the lead as I am on our picks. So right with the sports challenge, it's the glory days still, Tony. They're at 15-2. And on Sunday, they're picking the Bills. Hey, the Bills was rolling around in that blizzard up there, beating up the 49ers. And on Monday, they're going with the Broncos. So the glory days is leading the pack right now. But Tony, right behind them is the Crystal City Restaurant. Billy over there is right neck and neck at 14-3. And on Sunday night, Billy, you know what? You want me to help you, but you're doing a good job, Billy, over there. He picked the Bills on Sunday night and the Broncos. I told him some of their picks, I was like scratching my head, but I'm letting them do it because the numbers tell the truth, Tony. And then you know what? It's still close because Crystal City Pub, great place over there. Jimmy over there. I call him up all the time. He's busy over there with the restaurant, Tony, because everybody love it over there. And on Sunday night, Jim is picking the Bills. Everybody likes the Bills after that Sunday night game. And then on Monday night, the Broncos. And then Kellogg's is right in the mix, Tony, at 11-6. And we know about Kellogg's because they have so many great things that we can pour from because, Tony the Tiger, we got you right here, Tony, on here.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know, but you know what?
For all of you that don't know, I'm from Battle Creek, Michigan, and we feed the world. And I tell you what, we come in, we don't even know about this kind of stuff, and we winning. So let me
tell you, Kellogg's feeds the world with that great cereal too, Tony. And right now they're at 11-6, and they're picking the Bills on Sunday night. And the Broncos. Everybody knows what's up. And you know what? We can't leave the music out of this mix, Tony. As far as Still Familiar, they're right in the mix too at 8-5. And if you want great music, if you want the rich history of DC, you want the go-go bands. And this is them, Tony. And on Sunday night, they're picking the Bills. And can you believe this? They're picking the Browns. They better hit a couple of
now, wait a minute. You just hit the bell. That was the one out of all of them that got it right. Hey, Solomon, when you talk to your boys, tell them they got it right. Now, tell them we'll tell the people where they are if they want to continue to pick like me. But we are going to start to tell them where they're playing because they're really into this. They are picking the right ones. I'm telling you, the Browns may be out of it, but they got too many people back now. They are going to be a tough out. They will beat the Broncos.
I got you, Pops. I got you, Pops.
If we were picking the Browns, would you pick the Browns over the Broncos?
Yes.
You better be glad we ain't picking them because that would have been an L, Tony. But you know what? Let's go around the league, Tony, and find out who are the leaders in this chase for the end of the season to get into the playoffs. And we're going to start with the AFC East. We're going to start right there with the Buffalo Bills. Tony, at 10-2, we already clinched the division of the 5th AFC title with a win over the 49ers, 35-10. Ain't nobody else in the race of the Bills, so we won't stay on them. But let's go up the road to Baltimore. Pittsburgh in the AFC North, 9-3. Baltimore, 8-5. I'm gonna let y'all all jump in. What is happening with the Baltimore Ravens right now? Because Philadelphia just beat up on them, and they need to win every game from this stretch too. But right now, they're stumbling into the end of the season. So, anybody jump in to tell me about the Ravens right now?
Two things quickly. Lamar Jackson's not being Lamar Jackson.
Thank you.
Lamar Jackson not being Lamar Jackson.
Preach, coach.
If Lamar does what he was born to do, which is a dual threat quarterback, and become that instead of sitting in the pocket in the big games, he always does this historically when he plays Patrick Mahomes. It's almost like he's trying to be a pocket passer. That's not who he is. He needs to be himself. And the second thing is they got to make field goals. They got to make the points.
Man.
They'd win by 2 last night if the kicker makes those chip shots. They win the game. They win by 2 points. So you can't miss those points. And Lamar got to be Lamar. It's that simple.
You think they're doing that because they're trying to appease having the big running back in, and they want to? And if you notice what their tendency is to let Lamar run more in the first quarter or so, but then let the big guy take it over. I think you should make your game plan flow where they never know which one of them are doing it. I think you're right with that. But the one thing about it, and not just those two, if I had to say anything else, their defense is a really disgusting this year. I'm sorry. Go ahead. As they said in Tombstone, Donna, proceed.
Hey, Solomon, you come in because you got some intel on the kicker up in Baltimore.
Well, you know, I think last time I was in the barbershop, I kind of got it wrong with B-Rob, but I went to an actual Baltimore barbershop this time, and I kind of heard that the problem with Justin Tucker is he has a new holder. They said the holder that he actually has had previous was actually been in the league, been there since Justin Tucker's been there. So they said he retired last year. So they said now he's literally, now I'm not going to make too many excuses for the excuse bus, but they said that's really one of the main reasons why they said they haven't even been connecting in practice too well, because they just said it's just something that I guess Justin is not used to with the new holder. So I've been hearing that a lot in the barbershop. So that's where I'm at with that, because I've never seen him miss 3 in a row. Like, come on, like he's usually, we call that easy money, just like easy money, Kevin Durant. Justin Tucker's easy money, so it has to be. I look at sometime when it's going like that, it has to be something other than the kick.
Well, he better get it right, because he gonna be kicking his way right on out. But let's go to the AFC West. Kansas City always find a way to win at 11-3, but this is a good division because the Chargers and Kansas City, I think, are coming up to play each other soon. But Chargers are at 8-4. And then the Broncos that you said the Browns is going to lose to, Tony, is at 7-5.
I said the Browns were going to beat them.
That ain't happening. But talk to me about Kansas City and just the fact that they're just barely winning, Gary. You like Kansas City still?
Yeah, I like Kansas City still. They're 11-1. Why wouldn't I like Kansas City still? I don't care if you win by 1 point or 20 points. You're still winning football games. When you win ugly, you still win. And that just tells you they haven't even played hard yet. Wait till they play up to their expectations.
Oh, come on, man.
You don't want to see them play up to their expectations. Come on, guys. They're 11-1. Who else is 11?
He's right.
11-1.
They got a whole rabbit in their back foot. They let the foot go. They got the rabbit.
So their schedule was harder than everybody else's. Their schedule was harder than everybody else's.
They mess around. They let them score a game when the clock to run out.
Their schedule was harder than everyone else's schedule.
I'm sorry, Donna. We only got 3
schedules harder than everyone else's.
And the refs are in red and white.
But I want to get over to the NFC East right quick before we go. The NFC North, Detroit is at 11-1, just like Kansas City, and then Minnesota at 10-2, and Green Bay 9-3. That's a hot division right now. What do you like about the Detroit Lions right quick? Anybody can jump in.
Toughness. Toughness and the coach that will go for it on 4th and 30.
They straight blue collar. Right. They old school blue collar.
They tend to show up and get into the NFC championships.
Hey, Detroit is the real deal.
But they tend to lose those championships.
I still think that Detroit probably is the best team in football right now, but I can't even
They're
go.
not better than Kansas City.
I can't go to the NFC West to talk about Arizona, San Francisco, the Rams, Seattle, because that's a tight division. But Tony, we got to take a break right now. But you know what? Next week, we'll be back to talk about this, to break it down a little bit more, Tony. So take us to the break.
Yeah, we're going to have to do it quick. Let's roll out. Pay some bills in a minute.
Frosted Flakes good? They're great. Great.
They're still great, Grandpa.
See? Told ya.
They're great.
As you look at our picks right now, just remember one thing. We have we got a mold in there, somebody to change the score. But with that being said, we know some big games coming up. Some people want to get to the Super Bowl. Some people do not. We're looking at this Washington team as a great possibility. But one thing they better know, if you can't run with the big boys, you got to stay under the porch. And I'm telling you, we off of the porch. And we never say goodbye. We say, in the minute.